What is up, guys? Echoes here, and today I really wanted to talk about Metroid Dread. When everyone was going back to their Switch 1 games, testing them out on the Switch 2, Metroid Dread was the first game I wanted to test on the system, just to have an excuse to go back and play it. Metroid Dread is possibly my favorite game on the Nintendo Switch, just because I'm a huge Metroid fan, and it delivered in so many aspects of a Metroid game that I wanted. It just blew me out of the water. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite games of all time. Now, when I jumped back into it for testing out on the Nintendo Switch 2, I didn't notice that much of a performance improvement, but it's also a good thing at the same time because this game ran so well on the Switch 1. The real only problem with the Switch 1 version while running it on the Switch was the loading times in between the maps. I feel like those really took a long time to load. And while playing it on the Switch 2, I didn't see that much of a difference. It still felt like good long loading times. The only caveat that I could think why this is the case is because I'm still running it on the cartridge. I feel like possibly if I downloaded this game from the eShop, it may have ran better, but that was just my current experience. Now, should you still play this in 2025? Yes, of course you should. Even if you haven't tried any of the Metroid games, I feel like this is a good stepping stone to get into the series. That's because the very beginning of the game goes through a cutscenes or like a slideshow telling you exactly what has happened throughout the first 4 games, all the way back from the 1980s. Everything they need to know, they tell you at the very beginning. And then right from there, you're on your way, you're caught up, you're ready to play Metroid Dread. Now, Metroid is a really special game franchise because it just came out and made a whole genre called Metroidvanias. And that's still being made to this day with games like Hollow Knight, where all these indie developers are just taking things from more of Super Metroid and really taking into account the gameplay elements, the enemies, finding new items, getting upgrades, making you feel more powerful as you play the game, and finding every little nook and cranny you can on the map to get those upgrades. And it's a really satisfying experience. And Metroid Dread does all of this really well. There's still a lot of secrets to be found where you're constantly looking around, shooting blocks, seeing what you're missing. It's a truly great experience. Now, I will say I love these Metroidvania games, but I'm not the best when it comes to exploring and finding things, where I've never 100%ed one of them, just for your guys' insight. Now, what Metroid Dread does really well, and I think what Nintendo is trying to do at the moment, is trying to create a more linear experience, as well as feeling like you have exploration available. What this game does really well is it gives you the atmosphere of giving you that accomplishment of knowing where to go without the game telling you to. In this game, what it does is every little upgrade you get, the game puts you in a specific place where you know where to go most of the time. And what's good about this game is if you do get lost, eventually it can give you a little hint on your map on where to go next, and that's perfectly okay. And I think it does a good balance of the critiques of Metroid Fusion, where Metroid Fusion was a complete linear game practically, where the AI automation system named E.M.M.I would strictly tell you where to go, where this game somewhat does the same thing with little hints, but doesn't tell you directly, be like, hey, go here, and they mark it on the map. While Metroid Fusion did that. So it gives a good fusion of linearity, but also exploration as well, which makes it a really good starting point. And something that we haven't had into the 2D Metroid games or even the Prime series is really showing Samus be a badass in cutscenes throughout the whole game. Whether it's in boss fights, the very beginning cinematic, and just showing her be really cool bounty hunter without talking. And that's really essential because Samus isn't much of a talker, where it's one of those characters where you put yourself in her shoes and so you get more emotion out of it. Kind of like Master Chief in the Xbox series, where he doesn't say too much, but you can put yourself in his shoes and you feel more like the character. And man, they truly do her justice in this game, doing flips, not being intimidated. It's truly wonderful. Especially with her suit design, where it feels more of a blend of modern tech like from Prime, but also still has that sense of sleek and kind of more wired cabling. Kind of like the goo in Fusion is the best way to put it. So it's a good stepping off point. And during the gameplay, you will feel like a badass with Samus, but the game also humbles you in the E.M.M.I sections, which makes you feel more of like a horror aspect because you're being chased down by these robots and there's nothing you can do about it. Where if you get caught, you're caught. That's it. You have like one little split second to parry, and if you don't hit that parry, you're dead. It's game over. And you just have to restart and keep being chased until you find that correct way to do it. And those chase sequences feel amazing just because of the way Samus controls too. It just feels so fluid. You just feel like that every little precise movement you make, Samus is doing. Especially how fast she is in the new sliding mechanic where you're like you don't have your morph ball. You can slide around like very small crevices, and it just creates a sense of fast pace to it as well. It's really great. And just the way she also moves too with the free aim where you're circling around, there's no stutter when it comes to the free aim. And we haven't really had that in Metroid, other than Samus Returns was made still by the same studio. But this really feels polished in this game. A lot higher budget. And I feel like this game has really, really good stepping stones where you don't feel that strong, and then yet every upgrade you feel stronger and stronger, and it keeps on going. And the story actually does pretty well explaining this too, where every Metroid game, they have to come up with some odd reason that Samus loses all of her abilities. And in this game, they explain it very well where it actually makes sense. Now, without spoiling anything, she loses her abilities, and throughout the story, you understand why she lost her abilities and why she's getting them back. And it's just perfect. And it's just a good gameplay loop. And every single time you're running around shooting enemies, you're just satisfied by the gameplay. As well as you're satisfied looking around, trying to find the secrets, get everything done. It just makes Dread such a great game to go back to. I highly recommend playing this game in 2025 if you just got a Switch 2, if you haven't played it before. This is the highest selling game in the franchise, and you can definitely see why that is once you play it. It's just an experience to have. Well, that's really all I wanted to talk about with Metroid Dread. I could go on and on about this game with getting into spoilers. So if you want to talk about spoilers and how incredible the game is, let me know in the comments down below. And thank you guys so much for sticking around watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great day or night.